Welcome to episode 3 of the Rust programming language series. In this episode, we're going to create an application that uses variables. You need to have Rust and a text editor installed on your computer for this episode. If you haven't watched my previous episodes on Rust, I'd suggest you do that now. So this application that we're going to create, it's going to make some variables and then print them out. So as usual, start by opening your terminal, navigating to your Rust folder. In there, you want to use cargo to create a new project. I'm going to name mine episode 3. Remember to use the binary tag. So now that that's created, you want to open your text editor. I use Visual Studio Code. And then you want to open your project. So now that your project is open, we're going to ignore the .gitignore and the cargo file as usual. And we're only going to focus on the main.rust file. So in here, you can see some boilerplate code that we're going to delete. As usual, we're going to start off with a comment. So what does this application do? Well, this application creates and prints some variables. Alright, that looks nice. So you create your variable by writing let and then the name of the variable. So I'm going to name my variable number, and it's of the type I8 and it's equal to 30. Alright, so how do we print this number? Well, it's pretty easy. We use the print line command from before, and then we enter the open and curly brace, and open curly brace and close curly brace, then comma after the quote mark, and we enter the name of our variable. So here it is, number. So save that, go back to your terminal, go into your new project, and then use the cargo run command. So as you can see, it prints 30. Alright, so let's do some more variables. So what if you want to create a string? Well, if you want to create the immutable string, you use the let as usual, and then you write your variable name, so text, and then the type is and str, and it's gonna be equal to, this is a immutable string, and then you close with a semicolon. Alright, so how do you print it out? Well, you do the same as up here, so we can copy that, and then we only need to change the number with text. So save that and then recompile and run. So as you can see, this prints out our string, so everything looks good. Alright, so what if we do this? We say number is now going to be equal to 10, and then we're going to print the variable again. So number. So save and compile. So as you can see here, we get an error, and the error says cannot assign twice to an immutable variable, and this is something that's quite special to Rust, and it's what makes it so safe. Since we haven't written mute before our variable name, Rust thinks that we're never going to change this variable. So if we write a mute right before the variable name and then save and recompile, you're going to see now that this works. So let's try one more thing. What if we do this? We use the print line, and then we write number plus 10. Do you think this is going to work? Take a couple of seconds and think through it. Alright, now let's try. So save and recompile. As you can see, this works perfectly fine, and Rust does not have a problem with that. The last thing I want to say is that you can actually remove the type if it's obvious for Rust what it's going to be. So since this is an integer, Rust knows that this is probably going to be a signed integer, so it's going to assign that variable type for us. So you can save and then recompile, and as you can see, this still works perfectly fine. Alright, so that concludes this episode, but I want you guys to try different things with creating variables to make sure that you really understand them. My recommendation would be for you guys to try to create floating point variables. So good luck and happy coding!